Here's an easy SQL interview question that unfortunately almost every candidate gets wrong. Across all those interviews, there's one SQL question that frequently comes up, and it looks something like this. A candidate is given a few tables to look at with some sample data, and then they're asked a question like this. Can you write a SQL statement to output the product along with the sum of the total sales by day for product 123? Now the candidate will dive in, they'll write some SQL, and hopefully it will look something like this. It looks good and it looks right, but it's wrong for multiple reasons. This code is providing an answer to what the interview asked for, but not what the interviewer actually wanted. Now, you might be saying, how the heck am I supposed to know what the interviewer actually wants? I did what they said. Well, the thing about being an analyst is it's your job to understand what the stakeholder actually needs, not necessarily what they say, because those two things are sometimes completely different. When we look at the candidate's code here, they're using an inner join to join the products and the transactions. It works in this instance with our sample data, but in the real world, we might have product IDs that didn't have any transactions at all. If we use the same inner join code, we're not going to return all the products. So as a candidate, you'd be better off using that left join and explaining why you're using that versus an inner join, even though you have that conditional logic on the product ID. The other thing is sometimes when this type of question is asked, it's not asked about a specific product, and candidates will miss this because they're only doing an inner join. The second issue here is that candidates frequently don't think about this data in the context of the real world. Meaning, if a stakeholder is asking for this data, there's a chance that the data is going to get published into a dashboard or maybe into some sort of chart in Excel. The problem is we might have gaps in some of our data like we see here in the month of October. Sure, the query did exactly what the stakeholder wanted. It returned the sales by day for this product. Unfortunately, the query is not telling the story of all the days where the product wasn't being sold at all. So if someone were to go and put this data into a chart or a dashboard, or they were to quickly look at this without paying close attention to the dates, they might get a misleading piece of information. So the better way of doing this is to use a system calendar table and then left join to your sales transactions. Then you'd go ahead and drop in the coalesce function for all those null values that are getting returned, and that's going to make a really good result set for you. By showing those right answers, this is demonstrating that the candidate actually has real-world experience and they're doing more than simply what they're told to do. So when you're in your SQL interview, you need to think past the basic question and think about the broader context of the data that you're working within and how to produce the right SQL that will be useful for your environment.